Hello, everybody. What's going on? My name is Michael Kay, a senior BD manager at Consensus and product safety team at MetaMask. We're joined here live with the TRON community manager and spokesperson, as well as going to be talking about the TRON integration inside of MetaMask. Super excited to be here. I'd like to introduce Sam Elfarra. And how's it going, Sam?
What's up? What's up? Happy to be here, Michael. Thanks for having me.
Definitely. And let's remind everybody to like, repost, share the room. There's going to be a ton of different alpha that we're going to drop during this live stream. And I think it's going to be super exciting to see that Tron is now live inside of MetaMask, and the amount of things that I think personally are really make it easy to manage your Tron assets, to see your energy, to see your bandwidth, to actually earn on top of what you have in your wallet. And it's really great to see this collaboration happening. As most people know, MetaMask was notoriously an EVM wallet, and this non-EVM integration from Tron, I think, is massive for the space. It allows people to properly, understand that this is a multi-chain space, and MetaMask being a wallet has a lot of users, and Tron being a massive network also has a lot of users. So both OGs coming together, I think, is huge for the space. We're going to be talking a little bit first about the Tron network itself. Then we'll dive into a little bit of what the integration looks like, give people a little overview on what's available right now and what's coming soon. And then we'll have our closing remarks. So again, like, repost, share the room, and let's dive right in. So Sam, super happy to be here live with you. I've actually held Tron, I would say, since 2017, 2018. I think it's like an OG asset. I mean, everybody knows what Tron is. So it's super exciting to be here on the call with you. Do you want to give us a little overview on people that don't know what Tron is? Which, again, if you're in crypto, I'm not sure how you don't know what it is, but feel free to give the listeners a little breakdown on what exactly is Tron.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Tron Network is a layer one public blockchain. We've been around since 2017, 2018. We've amassed over 360 million daily active, or 300 million total user accounts, about 4 million daily active users, around 15 to 16 monthly active users. Just last year, we surpassed, I want to say, about 7.9, close to $8 trillion in transfer value that just occurred on our blockchain. We also have upwards of $85 billion worth of stablecoins circulating on the Tron network in terms of supply. And it really just points to us being a decentralized infrastructure for anybody to build decentralized applications, neobanks, anything fintech related. And we've really found our bread and butter within the payment space, being able to allow for that many transactions to occur at zero downtime since the inception of our blockchain. And I think that really points to the reliability, the security, and the scalability of our blockchain. We also have a high throughput, low transaction fee, and various other nuances that make the Tron network extremely unique, like our consensus mechanism, which is a delegated proof of stake. And we're very excited to continue to grow. I mean, we're in various regions, various markets, from Latin America to Africa to Southeast Asia, and also various other regions too. So that's a little bit about Tron, the Tron network itself. The Tron DAO specifically is a decentralized autonomous organization dedicated to promoting Web3 technologies, such as, and more exclusively, the Tron network. And we're going to continue to, be the leaders in that space, and want to continue to bring, the next billion users on chain. And now with all of the agentic innovations that are coming about, we also believe that, given our payments focus and given our payments success, we do believe agentic commerce and even agentic finance can have a very, very strong product market fit, utilizing the Tron network to move value at record speed.
Definitely. And I think that's one of the things to me that stands out. When I think about Tron, I think about stable, I think about USDT, I think about the ability to be able to move those assets on a global scale super efficiently, super cost effectively. What is the main region of users that you see on your end? Because a lot of MetaMask users are obviously based on the western side of the globe. And I think that doing this collaboration kind of opens up that pathway to acquiring more users and actually showing people what's possible.
Yeah, that's a good question. We do have a lot of activity all across the globe, but if I had to really hammer it down, I really think it's in areas where a lack of financial infrastructure is unavailable, or a financial infrastructure is unavailable, so to speak. So if you look at places like Latin America, where their denominated fiat currency is hit with hyperinflation, or you look at Africa, you see the same story there in various countries. And then even in Southeast Asia, where you see people who want to be able to move money cross border, those are the regions where we see a lot of our success because of the natural adoption of stablecoins, which I believe is the largest product market fit. And the Tron network has become kind of the de facto chain for stablecoin transactions in a lot of these regions, where if you want to move money from one country to another, you want to do it instantaneously, reliably, compliantly, and at extremely low cost compared to legacy models or legacy rails. You can do that utilizing USDT on Tron, which is a very, very strong symbiotic relationship that we've built there. And then on top of that, you see a lot of the activity of people conducting actual intra-commerce payments. So you can think C2B payments, where people are utilizing a Visa or MasterCard, going around utilizing USDT on Tron or other forms of digital assets on Tron, going to their local merchant and then buying things, or even doing it online. So from the B2B standpoint, the C2B standpoint, I'm talking in the realm of payments. We have seen a lot of success, B2B for cross-border import and export trade and moving money across border. And again, there's various case studies of that where we've been fairly successful. Even peer-to-peer or C2C, we've been extremely successful there as well in the case of remittances. B2C is also extremely successful. So we kind of hit all four of the major categories or buckets of payments. So B2C is when a business wants to pay their employees, or they want to do refunds, typically more for the former. So if a business wants to pay their employees faster and at a lower cost, they can do that utilizing stablecoins on Tron. So that's really where a lot of our success has been found in terms of the PMF and the regions and what they're specifically doing.
So it sounds like it's not necessarily just a giant degenerate gambling on-chain casino, but it's actual use case that you can see IRL, like you said, B2B, B2C. There's all these different ways that stables, which in my opinion, I've been saying stable coins are the alpha for a very long time. A lot of people on crypto Twitter and a lot of people on, especially like through all these different channels and YouTube, they're always trying to push some narrative, push some crazy opportunity, but 99% of the time, it ends up only benefiting 1% of people. And I think what Tron has built benefits everybody. It benefits businesses, it benefits the user. And like you said, there are regions where there's hyperinflation. Mm-hmm. And in those regions, I think this is a key technology that is tapped into. I mean, you're allowing people to debank themselves and also be able to instantly, on a global scale, be able to pay anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really important to note that the Tron network it's an infrastructure. So anybody can build applications on our chain to create those types of platforms to help people move money, whether it be a wallet. But all of it is happening and kind of ending and settling on the Tron network. When you think about payments, there's 3 to 4, not verticals or categories, but there's 3 to 4 I want to say phases that happen. There's the authorization or the authentication and authorization phase, where if I conduct a payment at my local vendor or my local merchant, let's say a Walmart or a Target, what happens in half a second from the point of sale terminal is you're seeing yourself becoming authenticated, or you're authorized to actually make that payment. It effectively, a lot happens under the hood where the money is actually being moved from one place to another. But during that authentication or authorization phase, once you get the yes or no, there's then the batching or clearing phase, where you actually have to then take all of those transactions that have been approved. And then from that standpoint, you have to wait T+1, T+2 days, T+3 in some areas, if you have to wait over the weekend, for the money to actually settle utilizing to the acquiring bank that's accepting the funds on behalf of the merchant. And there's lots of interchange fees that occur in that standpoint. And you're seeing a lot of network rails like Visa and MasterCard getting more involved into the blockchain space. And we're proud to be, and the TRON DAO is proud to be a member of the crypto alliance, or the crypto relationship that MasterCard put out. I'm sure you guys have all seen it. I might be butchering the exact name, but we're excited to be a part of it to see how we can push for more mass adoption of blockchain rails for payments and other use cases with the MasterCard and the amazing group of teams that they've included in that. But that's a little bit about what happens with legacy rails. And what blockchain rails does is it doesn't do anything necessarily different from those phases. It just makes it faster, more reliable, more secure, more cost effective. more transparent, and I think I mentioned reliable like a million times.
Yeah.
And then also there's the last phase, which is finality, which is ensuring that the funds are actually settled, no chargebacks are needed. So those 3 to 4 phases that occur with traditional payments, a lot of it becomes a lot more optimized using blockchain rails. And there are still things that we have to build out, and I think that's where innovative developers can come in, build on our network, and build agentic intersections, build more DeFi focused intersections, more PayFi focused intersections to continue to improve that type of technology.
Definitely. And I think what's super cool to me is the way that the network itself and also the way that people manage their own assets. You have these different elements like energy, you have bandwidth, and also the ability to stake and earn more energy because you have those assets sitting inside of your wallet. So it's actually further verifying that the person you're transacting with or that you're about to actually perform an interaction with is a real, network, is a real user on the network that you're able to transact with, which I think is huge, right? There's a big difference between being able to spin up 1,000 wallets or actually spin up a wallet that has a real use case that you're using for your business, that you're using on a personal level. So that's super cool to hear. And one of the great things that you said, which I think is super important in crypto, is zero downtime. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's as straight as it can be. We have had zero downtime, and we're very happy about that. So effectively, 100% of no downtime. To give it a little bit more nuance to it, what that means is effectively the blockchain itself that we've developed hasn't had any instance where it stopped working, or any instances where all of the transactions that occurred have effectively gone into a 404 instance, or an instance where we need to actually wait and actually build rebuild.
Or if you need to fork, right? Like that's not something that.
Yeah, no, we've never had any of those instances. And again, we've been extremely reliable, so that's really where it comes down to because of that. And given how much transfer volume that we conduct on a yearly basis, people want to be able to know that the network, the rail that they're utilizing, is not going to go down at any point. It's completely self-functioning, it's completely self-sustaining, and it's extremely affordable, as I've mentioned as well. You touched up on our resource model a little bit, which is resources and bandwidth. Or energy and bandwidth, I should say, to give it a little bit more color. When you stake TRX, the native utility token of the TRON network, you get resources such as energy, bandwidth, and also votes. You can delegate those votes to validators who then validate the blockchain itself and do those 3 to 4 phases that you traditionally see on payment rails or legacy rails, like the authentication, the authorization, and then the second part, the batching and clearing, and the third part, the settlement, and the fourth part, the finality. Those validators are responsible for validating the blocks within the chain, making sure that the preceding chains are consistent as well, and then truncating all of the transactions in the block. Because a public ledger or even a private ledger, it's a composite of blocks, and then those blocks are a composite of transactions. And that's effectively how we ensure everything stays validated, from incentivizing those validators appropriately, ensuring the base layer of the blockchain is adequate. And then, of course, compared to legacy rails, it's more cost effective, it's faster, it has a lot more room for scalability. So that goes into a little bit more of your question and then some when it comes into the reliability of our blockchain. And then with energy and bandwidth, you can effectively use those to reduce your gas fees on chain. So when I'm staking TRX or I'm utilizing the native utility token TRX, again, I mentioned the voting part. You can also utilize energy to be able to reduce your gas fees if you're interacting with a smart contract, or bandwidth if you are trying to do peer-to-peer transfers or wallet-to-wallet transfers, like on MetaMask, for example. So we're very happy to have that type of infrastructure, and we want to really do a better job of making it clear what that all means, kind of putting it all together, and continuing to be the de facto or the go-to standard network for stablecoin and payment transactions on chain.
It's huge. And I think, would you say to yourself that maybe 5 or 6 years ago, you would think that MasterCard and Visa and all these major companies would be embracing with crypto partner programs and tapping into this technology? I think this is like an alternate dimension that we've stepped into, seeing the scale that the adoption is occurring in traditional payment rails. I mean, obviously, this is something that's not going away. This is something that I feel like any institution that doesn't tap into it over the next few decades is going to be missing out on these types of opportunities to be able to save on cost, have reliable infrastructure, and to actually work with existing payment rails. Can you tell us a little more about what you're doing with MasterCard?
Yeah, so beyond just joining their crypto program alliance or their relationship thing that they've announced, and again, I apologize if I'm butchering that. But
Yeah, I think
beyond,
it's called the Crypto Partner Program. I'm
yeah,
pretty sure.
I think it's that simple. Yeah. So beyond just joining that program, we are looking at building out other solutions via other third parties to build on the Tron network. Can't touch up too much on that just yet, but the TLDR is we want to continue to be a reliable, sustainable, cost-effective blockchain for payments. And I really think in the future, and when I say the future, I think in maybe a couple of years, if not sooner, I genuinely see traditional legacy payment rails and blockchain rails kind of becoming the same thing. I'm sure we've heard that a lot where, when you're conducting a payment, a lot of the technology can sound very abstract to the average person that doesn't really care about payments technology. They just want to focus on their business, or they want to specialize on whatever it is they're specializing in. But what's happening under the hood is effectively where the blockchain rails are utilized. And then instead of being quote unquote traditional rails, it would be blockchain rails that are being utilized to authorize / authenticate, to batch or clear, and then to settle and then conduct finality. So those 4 phases, instead of it happening on legacy rails, it becomes much more efficient and reliable and effective using blockchain rails. So I think eventually we're going to see them emerge where it's going to be effectively the same thing. Legacy rails are going to start utilizing blockchain rails because of the efficiency that it has. And I mean, to the credit of Visa and of course MasterCard, they've been doing a great job of kind of getting ahead of that. And us at Tron, we want to just make sure that our blockchain stays competitive. We continue to empower people to build awesome applications on our blockchain that are going to provide those types of solutions utilizing our base infrastructure or our layer 1 infrastructure. So that's where kind of how I look at it and where it all comes together. And we're very excited about some things that we're going to be announcing soon. And what I love about this space is how global it is. There's so many different countries that can benefit from this, from emerging ones to developed countries. From where I'm from in the United States, there's still a lot of product market fit that can be found. And we haven't even touched up on the tokenization component. But payments is also extremely huge as a vertical within the broader financial services space. But I'm very excited about all of it. The growth has been tremendous just in the past year. I think McKinsey brought out a report where the growth for each one of those buckets from B2B, B2C, C2B, peer-to-peer, or C2C payments regarding crypto rails or blockchain rails have seen a massive amount of growth. Like we're talking 100+% across a lot of those verticals. I think one of them had maybe 50 or 60%, but that's because it was already very large to begin with. But still, it's huge. And we're talking about billions of dollars that are being flowed, trillions of dollars in transfer value. And I think it's still early. The broader payment space, a lot of money is flowed using legacy rails. And as I mentioned earlier, if the thesis is a lot of it's going to be happening on blockchain rails, there's still a lot more room to grow. So for anybody who's listening, if you want to build, feel free to think about building on Tron. We already have a lot of that user base and still a lot more to go. And we want to be able to utilize our awesome infrastructure for it. And then also with agentic payments, agentic commerce, the Tron network being already very established within payments, I think it's a natural fit for people to start building on our network, on our blockchain, given its low cost efficiency, its high throughput, and the also de facto or go-to standard for agentic payments. So that can also be a great product market fit for people as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here live with Elfarra, Tron community spokesperson from TRON DAO. This is an awesome conversation. We haven't even dived into the MetaMask side of the integration yet. I think a great breakdown. That was a great breakdown on Tron itself. I'm super excited. I see it scaling massively, especially with agentic AI and all these different types of implementations. So super amazing. So let's do it. Let's dive into the MetaMask integration. If you didn't already know, Tron is now a default network inside of your MetaMask wallet. That's both on mobile and extension. So super easy. Just tap on the default network or the popular networks list. You don't have to enter any manual information. You can enable Tron super easy. And the other thing that I really like about it is the interface for managing the energy, the bandwidth, and the staking. If you tap on the TRX token, I think the way that it's been pulled off when it comes to a UI element is the best I've seen in a wallet. I'm trying not to be as biased. Obviously, I work at MetaMask, but I've used a lot of wallets, and I've been in the crypto space for many years. And part of it is reducing user friction, making it 10,000 times easier than basically having to be super techie in order to understand what's happening or how to use it. So it's super cool to see it now live inside of MetaMask for all the users that are able to tap in. And there's a lot more coming down the line, but so let's hop into it. So what do you guys think as far as the integration so far? Everyone at Consensus and MetaMask has been super excited about this, and so have our users. We've seen a lot of positive response on Twitter, on LinkedIn, across all social platforms. So far it's been amazing, and we're like barely even started yet. Like there's so much more coming down the line.
Well, we're hyped. I mean, MetaMask is a huge name, especially when it comes to being used for wallets. And naturally, with Tron, we have various other decentralized wallets or self-custodial wallets that allow people to custody their digital assets independently on Tron already. And I think naturally melding that between your guys' user base and ours within the MetaMask ecosystem can be great, especially for allowing people to conduct peer-to-peer transfer using wallets. So we're very excited about it. We're also excited to see the DApp connectivity roll out, where we have more DApps starting to allow MetaMask or users with a MetaMask wallet to connect to their DApps. I think that's going to be a huge unlock as well.
Yeah, DApp connectivity, I should say, is definitely massive. And paired with that, we're also going to be launching the Tron ecosystem page inside of MetaMask Portfolio. For those that aren't aware, the MetaMask Portfolio has a network section, and we're going to be adding Tron to that network section so that users that are brand new to Tron or have been at Tron for a long time can see everything about Tron in one place, including all the DApps, events, tokens, any sort of information, and a guardrailed experience. And again, this goes back to reducing user friction. How do you make it so that a user can spin up a wallet in a decentralized manner, discover everything about a network, and do it safely and securely? I think this is where MetaMask really stands out. The security and privacy stack, it's hardened. It's a 10-year-old code base, but it's been built it's been built in such a way where the user's privacy and security is always the main concern. And I think that's another thing that Tron is also very adamant about: the security of the network, the privacy of the user, making sure, as you stated before, the stability is there. So I think this is like a match made in heaven, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I know you guys have been around for a very long time as well. I think the first wallet I ever used back in like 2016, 2017, when I got into crypto, was a MetaMask wallet, or around that time frame. I think you guys launched around then.
Yeah, 2016. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I love what you guys have been building, and it's awesome to see you guys finally support Tron. And very excited to see all the other stuff you guys are doing with your card program, to allow for C2B payments to occur, or merchant acceptance to occur. And very excited.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, not only are you just enabling Tron and being able to manage your assets inside of the MetaMask wallet, you can on-ramp, you could swap, you could bridge across any of the networks that are supported. So all that functionality is now native at the wallet level. And again, this is for both mobile and extension. Sometimes we push an update out on one or the other because they're completely different code bases, and they do require extensive amount of work. But I'm very happy that we're able to basically have parity across the MetaMask application, and also be able to offer users of Tron this experience, and to make sure that they understand, like, hey, there might be a difference. Try it out. You might like the interface better. It might be more efficient. And really what it comes down to is ease of use. We want to make it easier to use. We want people to understand that, it's not just a place where you hold your assets, but like you said, the app connectivity is coming soon. We're going to have the MetaMask portfolio so that users can discover everything in one place. So for me, instead of having to like patchwork exchange, patchwork an extension and a different wallet together, it's all done in one place. And I think that's the ultimate win for the user.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's all about user experience, right? That's the biggest thing that was kind of a burden and still is within utilizing blockchain infrastructure or getting more FIs or institutional adoption and even user adoption is how do we bridge the gap between the efficacy of blockchain versus the user experience of it and making it as effective as possible. And I think that's still being kind of figured out. You know, the last thing you want is to use a solution that's going to create more problems. But it's being, you know, we're moving in the right standpoint, I think. And, you know, obviously MetaMask has created a great product for that. And now with the integration of Tron, it's kind of a match made in heaven, like you mentioned earlier, I think.
Yes,
so we're very, very happy about that.
Something that you mentioned earlier was regarding the developers, people wanting to build on the Tron ecosystem. And MetaMask has a very large developer community. If you haven't tapped in already, please do. There's a lot of resources available on metamask.io for developers, for builders. So can you give a little bit of examples of maybe some dApps or some use cases that people have built on top of the Tron ecosystem?
Yeah, well, one thing that comes to mind is a payment terminal that has integrated the Tron network. I think the project's name is, if I recall correctly, they're called Krypton, Kripton, and I like to point to them as an example of what they've built because I've seen what they've done in real time. When I went to DevConnect last year in Argentina, Buenos Aires, I visited a local gluten-free empanada shop and saw the owner of the shop utilizing Krypton's system. And Krypton has built a payment terminal that utilizes the transfer of digital assets, such as on Tron, for accepting payments, for moving money cross border, for being able to, you know, pay your staff. So I talked to the owner of the shop, and he utilizes the system to be able to, as I mentioned earlier, buy for goods to actually make the empanada, buy the equipment to also make or bake the empanadas,
Right.
To pay their staff, to be able to instantly off-ramp or on-ramp if needed, utilizing, you know, effective on and off-ramp providers in that region that are obviously compliant. And all of that is being done utilizing and settling those transactions on the Tron network, specifically utilizing USDT on Tron. So it's widely used in Argentina, more so in other countries within Latin America. And then, of course, you can look at Africa and Southeast Asia, where you can see a lot more of that adoption. And that's just one of plenty of other projects that have built on Tron. There's a lot of amazing projects that are doing the same thing. I wish I could mention all of them, but you know, that's something that I've seen firsthand of what people are doing, what people are building, and the types of product market fit that they're finding.
I think one of the biggest questions that I'm sure you've experienced as well when you're trying to onboard people into crypto is, well, what can I actually do with it? Where can I actually spend it? You just gave some great examples of how a business can use the Tron network, can use a dApp that's built within that ecosystem to be able to pay their employees, to be able to purchase equipment, purchase goods, and create that sort of, you know, live use case of, why does this actually work? One of the biggest burdens for businesses are the underlying costs at the end of the month, which is your credit card fees, your terminal fees, your point of sales and system fees, right? All these different elements come together and they end up being pretty high at the end of the day. You're talking 3, 4, 5, 6% in fees combined. And that greatly affects the bottom line of a business. But when you're doing that on a network like Tron and you have these dApps that you could plug right into, and your employees, you know, are easily onboarded into that environment, I think that's game changing. I think that's amazing for businesses, especially when you start to scale globally.
100%. And I think on top of that too, one other use case that we haven't even touched up on, and it's kind of peer-to-peer focused, whether you're using a decentralized intermediary or a centralized one, is remittances.
Right.
When you want to send money across border, not for import or exports, but just to send to your family at whatever country that they're living in, whether you came from it originally or not.
Right.
You know, that type of action, that remittances, it can be very expensive using legacy rails, regardless of if it's a centralized intermediary or not. But utilizing blockchain rails that becomes a lot more effective now. So now instead of having to pay in some areas, 8%, 10%, 11%, I think the global average, and I'm pulling up the metric now because I put a presentation together for it, but the global average for remittances, according to I'm going to pull it up right now because I don't want to butcher it.
Yeah.
Uh, so the global average, according to the World Bank, in terms of, I think it's remittance RPW in Q1 of 2025, global average was about 6.5%.
That's
So
crazy.
that's according to the World Bank remittance prices worldwide in Q1 of last year, 2025. Might be a little different now, but it's 6.5% effectively. And if you look at sub-Saharan Africa, it's close to 9% on average.
Wow.
If you look at Latin America, it's about 6%. East Asia, in the Pacific, it's about 6%. And then obviously each country is different. Most of Africa, as I mentioned, in some areas, they're going as higher than that.
Right.
I had the pleasure of going to Paraguay not too long ago to speak to regulators in the region on how they can start adopting blockchain. And one use case that I think that really resonated with them is that in Paraguay, the average remittance cost, let's say the baseline is $200, you're losing close to 10% of that. It's about 8% is the remittance transaction in that region. So it's very, very high. And then if you go down to like the actual card payments that they're doing, I'm not too familiar with what that is in that local region, but I know in the US, it can also be pretty costly for merchants when they're conducting credit card payments. So I just think overall, blockchain rails can have a phenomenal meld or mend or mesh, whatever the proper term is.
Yeah.
Legacy rails, where it kind of becomes the same, just because of the efficiency that blockchain rails can offer in truncating those 3 to 4 phases that I've alluded to that go into conducting a payment.
Yeah.
So hopefully that kind of sparks some interest into the actual numbers. And I mean, remittance volumes are in the billions of dollars a year for
Right.
most countries. So that's just one other specific use case and what Tron is being used for a lot. And why I also wanted to mention is because wallets, they can also deal with remittances as well. Those are just peer-to-peer transfers across borders, sending to your family. And it's more secure as well. You don't have to physically go to a central MTO,
Right.
money transmitter operator.
You don't have to dox your entire life.
Yeah, you don't have to physically get out of your house, go there, take the paper cash, have people look at you taking the paper cash and then walking back. And it all can happen compliantly on chain. And I think more regulators are starting to open up to that. They're starting to understand the nuances and differences between what's a service provider versus what's an infrastructure, which is where Tron stands as an infrastructure. And I think we're very excited to continue to move in that direction.
Such a beautiful thing. I mean, everyone's become comfortable with paying these fees over the decades. No one's questioned it, right? You might not like it, but you say to yourself, well, there's nothing I can do. Well, now you can. You have an option. And I think that's why crypto and blockchain overall is so important. Not only when it comes to managing money and assets, but data, owning your own information. These are things that tie into also being privacy preserving and also understanding what exactly you are holding. So I think it's all coming together. Tron is at the forefront of a lot of this, and it's amazing to see the network and how it's grown over the years. And I'm so freaking happy that now, I'm not going to name the wallet that I had my assets in, but it's
now MetaMask should now be MetaMask, at least for your kids. Yeah, that's great.
Exactly. Now I can manage it all in one place, which, to me is a matter of convenience. I think people like convenience. I think people like the ability to just see everything in one place. So to me and everybody that's already enabled it and is a Tron user, if you haven't tried it yet, turn it on, check it out, see the difference, and understand, what it means to actually tap into the most privacy preserving and secure wallet with one of the top chains that is really changing the landscape for payment remittances. And I think you mentioned RWAs, or did you mention?
So we also have tokenization that we're pushing into as much as we can. We also have a good DeFi presence with a lot of cornerstone projects such as Just Lend and then SunSwap as a DEX. And then we also have within our ecosystem a little bit more, and we're hoping a lot of that has DApp connectivity with MetaMask. We're also trying to get more into the agentic space as well with agentic finance, agentic payments, where we potentially could see more AI agents conducting transactions on behalf of humans. rather than seeing humans conducting all the transactions. And they
Crazy,
need to be
man. It's crazy to think that's happening, right? Like you would, it, if that's happening, if we're just starting to tap into it now, I can't imagine in a year from now what the space is going to look like.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where I think we could be heading. AI NFT is another project. It's a cornerstone or a sister project on that has built on Tron from the earlier days, where they've created the Bank of AI, which offers various MCP and skills integrations with OpenClaw, so you can build AI agents that can connect to your Telegram or whatever it might be, and be able to actually conduct activity or transactions on chain. We do have X402 standard on Tron as well as TRC 8004. TIP 8004, Tron Improvement Proposal 8004, which is the equivalent to the Ethereum one on
Right.
Tron. Well, it's kind of like a global directory for finding AI agents. So we have a lot of that infrastructure built for agentic payments, and we just want to kind of be on the cutting edge of that because there's a lot of room for that to grow. There's still a ways to go, and I think a lot of it is seen as exploratory, but I mean there is a direct product market fit for it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's really just, is there going to be more agents conducting transactions than humans? Whether your answer is yes or it's close to yes, just due to the nature of how fast and efficient agents can be if properly built. They need to use a payment system, if they're doing transactions that is properly built, cost effective and efficient. And stablecoins, especially on Tron, can be that go-to place. So that's where I
Listen,
think.
if I was an AI agent, the last thing I'd want to do is touch fiat. I would tap directly into Tron, right? Like that natively. That's how I'm thinking.
For sure, for sure. And I mean, like payments it's a very inelastic thing to do. Like if the fees on it changes, people still have to figure out a way to pay. But
Right.
I think as it becomes a bit more commoditized, AI agents are going to want to utilize blockchain systems just because it's so efficient, it's fast.
Right.
And so now we're kind of in that phase where we're trying to build that out.
Moving at the speed of right now instead of 3 to 5 business days. That's the
Yeah,
big difference.
100%, 100%.
Oh man, I mean, I can't believe we're already over half an hour into this conversation. Listen, if you haven't shared, this is a recorded live stream. It's going to exist forever. Well, technically forever until Restream shuts down or X shuts down. But hopefully by then, AI agents would have archived it on chain and it can live forever. But this has been an amazing session. I think, we dropped a lot of information about the Tron network, the capabilities inside of MetaMask, and really why Tron stands out from pretty much a lot of different noise that we're seeing in the space. So, if you're a MetaMask user, if you're not a MetaMask user, if you're on Tron, you're not on Tron yet, this is your opportunity to tap in, see how easy we've made it directly inside of the wallet, enable Tron, ramp, swap or bridge from an existing network. It's all there. And there's a lot more coming down the line. Any closing thoughts, Sam?
I think to conclude, if you want to build on an infrastructure, blockchain infrastructure that has been the most reliable, one of the most efficient, most cost effective, it has the nuances that you need to potentially reduce your gas fees down to zero for any sort of transaction, whether it be peer-to-peer one, a business-to-business one for import and export, a C2B for merchant acceptance, or a B2C to conduct payroll, or even doing remittances, like I mentioned earlier with peer-to-peer. The Tron network is your place to go. We also have a very sophisticated DeFi landscape that's continuing to grow. We are embarking and trying to stay on the cutting edge of the agentic commerce and agentic finance world, and be seen as the infrastructure for AI agents to move value at record speed and at record volumes. We've settled close to $8 trillion in transfer volume just last year. We
Huge.
genuinely, and to our mantra, to our theme, we genuinely are moving trillions of dollars in value and empowering billions of people all across the world. And I think that's a very exciting thing for me. I know I've said that a lot, but it really is exciting, and it's empowering to say that we've been a part of that. And anybody can be a part of it too. So if you want to build applications on Tron, feel free to get in touch with us. We have various builder programs available that are focused on AI, as well as other intersections into that with PayFi. So if you want to build on Tron, feel free to reach out to either me or even our X account, TRON DAO, and be involved with the emerging Web3 and agentic economies, the agentic technologies, Web3 technologies as well. and be a part of the blockchain that's moving trillions and empowering billions all across the world.
Moving trillions, empowering billions. That's a beautiful thing. You heard Sam, TRON DAO, the developers tap in and see what's possible, build on Tron. And also for all the users, I think those are the ones that are going to benefit the most, the users. And it's only a matter of time before people wake up to what's happening. So Sam, again, it's been an amazing session. Let's do a follow-up restream in a couple of months from now as we launch a couple different moving parts like the portfolio ecosystem page. I think people will be super excited about that. But until then, it's been an amazing session, and catch you guys in the next one.
Yep. Thank you, Michael.